Let me tell you what the #1 reason doctors give for not starting a YouTube channel is. It's not time, it's not equipment, it's not even knowing what to talk about. It's this: I wouldn't know how to be on camera. And every time I hear that, I have the same reaction. You've spent your entire career explaining complex, high-stakes information to people who are scared, overwhelmed, and confused, and getting them to understand it, trust it, and act on it. Sometimes in 10 minutes, sometimes in a hallway, sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning. That is one of the hardest communication environments that exists. A camera is a quiet, non-judgmental lens that never interrupts you, never goes off tangents, and never tells you their cousin cured this same disorder with essential oil therapy and coffee enemas. You are far more prepared for this than you think. Let's break down what you already do. When you walk into an exam room, you read the room. You assess emotion, understanding, and resistance before you say a word. Then you lead with what matters, and you don't start with pathways and mechanisms. You start with what they need to know, because you've learned when people get overwhelmed, they stop listening. Then you anticipate their questions. You already know where the confusion lives, where fear shows up, where they nod but don't actually understand, and you address it before they ask. And finally, you close with clarity. You don't leave the room with uncertainty. You give them a clear next step. Now, let me ask you something. Everything I just described, reading your audience, leading with clarity, anticipating objections, closing with direction, do you know what that is on YouTube? That is a perfectly structured video. Hook, content, addressing objections, call to action. You've been doing this your entire career. You just haven't been doing it on camera. Now, there is one thing that throws a lot of doctors off, and it's worth naming. In medicine, communication is a loop. You're constantly reading feedback, facial expressions, body language, confusion, and adjusting to real time. On camera, that loop disappears. There's no feedback, it's just a lens. And for doctors who are used to reading people, that silence can feel really unnatural at first. That's the key, because it's temporary. Every creator who's ever built a channel goes through that. The camera feels awkward. Your delivery feels off. You're not sure whether any of this is landing. And then something finally shifts. You stop talking to the camera and you start talking to one person. And when that happens, your tone changes, your pacing changes, and your presence comes back. The camera doesn't teach you how to communicate. It just stops getting in your way. Now, here's something I wish that I had learned years earlier. Before every video, identify one person. Not a demographic, not your audience, one real person. Someone you've treated, someone you've talked to, someone who represents exactly who this video is for. Think about where they are, what they're worried about, what they've already tried, what they're hoping that you're gonna say, and what they probably need to hear. Then talk to them, not to the camera, not to subscribers, to that one person. When you do that, something interesting happens. Your language becomes more human, your pacing becomes more natural, your focus sharpens. And paradoxically, the more specific you are speaking to that one person, the more universal your message and the more people you reach, because that one person is never just one person. That's not a YouTube trick, that's medicine. And one more thing, because I've seen this go wrong both ways. Some doctors show up and they go full professor mode. Formal, detached, technically perfect, but difficult to watch. Others go too far the other direction. They try to be more relatable and they strip out all their authority. And the audience who came because you're a doctor loses confidence pretty quickly. So the right voice is neither one of those. It's the voice you use when a colleague pulls you aside and says, "Hey, what do you really think about this patient?" Or "What do you think about this lab work?" That voice, clear, direct, grounded. It's the voice you already use every single day. The only difference is learning to access it on camera. So here's what I want you to take away from this. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to learn how to communicate. You already know how to do this. The camera is just a portal that happens to reach more people. What comes next is the practical side, because the next barrier for most physicians isn't communication, it's this. They think they need a large audience to make any of this worthwhile. They don't. That's what we're covering in the next video. I'll see you there.